Hello everyone, welcome to today's news charter. We'll be discussing some very important and very interesting topics today. But before that, let's microbial resistance as one of the top threats to public health. I hope all of you already know what antimicrobial resistance is. Anyways, I will just give you an idea. They have asked which among the below statements are correct. So, what exactly is antimicrobial resistance? Antimicrobial resistance means the human body getting resistance to any other antimicrobial medicines. So when you continuously take antibiotics or any antimicrobes, your body will get adapted to it, and it will attain a point where the antimicrobial medicines are not reacting. In the same way, the bacteria or the viruses themselves get adapted to all the antimicrobial medicines. So this is what we call as antimicrobial resistance. This is why we should not have too many antibiotics without prescription. So they have asked which among the following statement is correct. The first statement, AMR is a natural process that happens over time through genetic changes in pathogens. As I told already, that the pathogens themselves get adapted completely and their genetic material gets changed so that whatever medicines we have at present, it will not work on them. So this is the right statement. Let's look at the others also. Antimicrobials include antibiotics and antivirals, but not antifungals. The term microbe itself means everything. So it includes antibiotics, antivirals, and antifungals also. Drug-resistant infections impact the health of animals and human beings, but not plants. So the most important and interesting point here is it affects even plants also. So such things people will immediately eliminate that how can plants come here? But the reality is plants also gets affected. Excessive and inappropriate use of antibiotics does not cause AMR directly. It does cause. When you use excessive amount of antibiotics, it will result in antimicrobial resistance. The first topic of the day, regulation of online bond platforms. So, if you are following the news regularly, you must be knowing about the Hindenburg cases. So, the Adani Hindenburg case happened last year, in which Hindenburg, which is a short selling platform, told that the Adani shares are not being completely transparent. So, they short sold a lot of shares, due to which the Adani stocks got a big blow. So a probe is going on regarding this. You don't have to get into the details and everything. Even UPSC will not ask any of those details. So from examination point of view, what you need to know is recently SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, came up with a regulation for online bond platforms. So on online bonds are being sold. What exactly is bond? We will look at it later when we are discussing about prelims pointers. What you need to know is SEBI has recently regulated the online bond platform. So what kind of regulations were done? Online bond platform providers should register themselves as stock brokers in the debt segment of stock exchange, in whatever stock exchange they are functioning. For example, it can be the Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange, but they should register themselves as stockbrokers. One thing, the registration certificate as a stockbroker from SEBI is compulsory. Need to ensure compliance with minimum disclosure requirement. So if I am selling bonds, I would first register myself in the stockbroker and along with as a stockbroker in the stock exchange along with registration of SEBI. Apart from this, whatever disclosure requirements SEBI is telling, I will do that also. It would also have to disclose on the platform all instances of conflict of interest. For example, if I am selling bonds and if I have a share in some particular company or some particular industry which is in stock market, so that is actually a conflict of interest, and I have to be very clear about it. I have to disclose it to the people. So this is what the regulations are. Such things can be asked in prelims, can be asked in mains also. What exactly is defamation? So recently, what happened? Aam Aadmi Party MLA was accused of defamation So we need to know what exactly defamation means. So whenever we talk about such terms like defamation, sedition, we talk from the constitutional point of view and from the point of view of Indian Penal Code or Criminal Code. So be very clear about it. Defamation is a favorite topic. Be very clear about it. Defamation means an act of communicating false statements about a person that will result in injuring the reputation of that person, creating fake news, creating rumors, etc. So, what does the Constitution of India tell about it? According to Article 19 and Section 2, it has imposed reasonable exemption to freedom of speech and expression, which is granted by Article 19.1. So, according to Article 19.1 of the Indian Constitution, everyone has right to freedom of speech and expression. However, in the same article, the clause 2 says there can be reasonable exemption to the freedom of speech and expression. So defamation gets covered in Article 19.2. I can have freedom of speech and expression, but I cannot cause any problem to the reputation of some person based on some false argument. So this is what defamation means. Defamation is an offense under criminal and civil law also. This should be very clear. It comes under civil as well as criminal law. So defamation, what kind of offense it is? It is a bailable offense, non-cognizable offense, and compoundable offense. You can get bail. It is non-cognizable and it is compoundable offense. Compoundable means you can compromise. If I give a complaint on a particular person and tell that he had defamed me, later if I want to compromise on it, then it can be revoked. Section 499 of the Indian Penal Code 1860 defines defamation. What are the definition provided? Words or signs imputed intending to harm or with the knowledge that such imputation will cause harm. So if I tell something which without thinking that it is going to cause some harm, it cannot be considered as defamation. If I tell something with the intention to cause harm, it is called as defamation. Today there was a news. I hope you are reading the newspaper regularly. Newspaper is very important. Even though I am explaining the important topics here, you have to read the news too. So recently what happened? INUTREP, National Liberation Council, which is actually an armed group in Meghalaya, has decided to withdraw from peace talk with the center. They were in peace talk with the center, but recently they have decided to withdraw. So the problem is they want Meghalaya to be belonging to Khasi tribes only, or more power should be given to Khasi tribes. So from examination point of view, tribal news and tribes related facts, etc., are very important. You can get some questions. So, who exactly is the Khasi tribe? Khasis are tribal people who live in Meghalaya, Assam, and Bangladesh, mostly in Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, around 48% of the entire population is Khasi population. They are divided into several different clans. A very significant point about the Khasis are they are matrilineal society. That means they identify themselves through their mother's lineage, not through the parents or the father's lineage. So the youngest daughter or Ka Kaddu is eligible to inherit the ancestral property. Usually in Hindu tradition, what happens is, according to the ancient tradition, it is the elder son who will inherit the property. However, in Kasis, it is the youngest daughter who is inheriting the property. So this is a very significant fact about them. Their language is also called as Kasi. It belongs to one of the Austro-Asiatic languages. Kasis at present are mostly Christians because during the colonial times, the British missionaries did very good work in Meghalaya and they converted most of them into Christians. GSAT 20, anything related to science and technology should be given very too much of importance, especially if it is space related news. So recently, what happened is the New Space India Limited, the NSIL, which is actually the commercial arm of ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, announced that it is going to launch a GSAT 20 on board SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. SpaceX, you all know about Elon Musk and his company SpaceX. They have the rocket called Falcon 9. So NSIL has told that we are going to launch a GSAT 20 satellite with SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. So what exactly is GSAT 20? So GSAT 20 is a high throughput Ka band satellite. So you don't have to go into the technical details of what is Ka band and what exactly they do. Just one thing you need to remember, Ka band allows higher bandwidth communication. That means excellent communication with very good precision can happen. So with this GSAT 20 satellite, yeah, an all India, pan India coverage will happen, including the entire part of Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep Island. So this much information is more than enough for your examination perspective. One important point from mains examination perspective, a survey recently conducted by National Center for Disease Control has told that in the hospitals, generally what happens is 55% of eligible patients were given antibiotics for disease prevention. So this is a bad thing. We study about the antimicrobial resistance. How does antimicrobial resistance happen? When we keep consuming a lot of antimicrobial tablets or antibiotics, etc., the microbes themselves get adapted to the antibiotics, and then they will evolve in such a way that they will be resisting the tablet itself, resisting the medicine itself. So this is the problem. What happens is the doctors themselves give too much of antibiotics just to prevent a problem. If I have a problem, in order to cure it, I can be taking the tablet. Just to be careful that I won't get a problem, I should not take a tablet. So I hope it is very clear that even the institutional mechanism is not correct, and this is one of the major reasons we have to be very careful about. Why Indian economy is considered vulnerable to global economical events? Main question of the day. You should all be very clear about it. Whenever the rate change happens in the United Nations Federal Bank, Indian economy gets affected because of globalization, because of complete integration of Indian economy with the global economy. So what are all the reasons why it is considered to be vulnerable? Because too much of trade happens. India does not have surplus of export. India has surplus of import from countries such as China and America. So due to all these problems, India is very vulnerable to any economical events that happen globally. Examine the possibility to prevent such economic vulnerabilities. Possibilities are a lot. You have to be a export economy, have to manufacture a lot. At present, we are dependent mostly on a service sector. We have to be dependent on agricultural sector, manufacturing sector, etc. So once we take care of all these things, we will be able to reach the point. Prelims pointers. We were discussing earlier about bond market. So what exactly are bonds? Bonds are units of corporate debt issued by the companies, and they are tradable in nature. For example, if I have a company and if I have to get money, then instead of getting the money from the banks, what I can do is I can release bonds because I own a company and people know about me. I can release bonds. In that bond, it will be mentioned that the bearer of the bond hold this much amount, let's say 10,000 or 1 lakh. So whoever subscribe to the bond will give 1 lakh to me and I will give the bond to him. And regularly I will pay interest. This interest is called as coupon rate, a fixed income mechanism, a fixed income instrument for the people. These bond rates are inversely related to the interest rates. So whichever bond has more interest rate, the price of the bond will be less. Whichever bond has less interest rate, the price of the bond will be high. So why exactly this is happening? You can study about it, and if possible, you can comment in the comment section. So that will be all for today. Study well. All the best. We'll meet tomorrow.